And there is a type of pattern which is found throughout the Bible, and it is hidden right in plain sight. You have your clear text that you read, and within that clear text, it's hidden right in plain sight. And when you see these patterns laid out on paper, they can help you understand more clearly what God is doing and why. The pattern makes a certain number of points in this direction, then it turns around and it says the exact same thing in reverse. And because of the shape of this pattern, which looks kind of like an X, they're called chiasms. The Greek letter chi looks very much like our X. As a matter of fact, it does look like our X. And while we're talking, I've got one over here. I'd like it to be passed around to everybody so they can see what a chiasm looks like. And this one is particularly in the flood of Noah. Right there in clear text, it's hidden there. And if you notice when you're looking at it, that it is centered on the verse. The pivot of the chiasm is on the verse. Then God remembered Noah. Veyitzkor Elohim et Noach. All right? It explains why so many things seem to be repeated for almost no apparent reason in this account. And hopefully, what I'm hoping, and I was kind of buttering Sergio up a little while ago, I'm hoping that Sergio can figure out a way of putting this onto the video so other people can see what this chiasm looks like as well. It's details that are like this in the Bible that don't just show us the wisdom and the intricacy of the Bible, but they also show us the mind of God as He is revealing Himself to the people of the world. So I hope that you enjoy this particular chiasm. This is one of my very favorite found in the Bible. I am not the one who found this one. I want you to know that. It's from a book, Before Abraham Was, by a guy named Isaac Kikwata, I believe. Anyway, it may have his name down there at the bottom of it. But there are many, many more chiasms in the Bible. I found quite a few of them myself, and I can tell you that there is nothing to me that is more precious than finding one of these things in there and saying to yourself, I am the first human being since the time that Moses received this directly from God at Mount Sinai to see this pattern and then to be able to share it with the people around you. There are a lot of other ones that I haven't found. I'll tell you some of them because they're not on my website. The book of Acts. The entire book of Acts makes a chiasm. The book of Daniel makes a chiasm. The book of Hebrews makes a chiasm. And then chapter 11 of Hebrews makes a chiasm. Chapter 1 of John, believe it or not, the Gospel of John makes a beautiful chiasm. They're all throughout the Bible. Some of them span chapters of the Bible. Some of them span books of the Bible, the entire book, as I said. Or some of them actually go over books of the Bible. And that's important. I'll explain that in just a second. And then I have seen one chiasm that actually spans the entire Bible. Now, one thing we don't want to do when we look at something like a chiasm is to come to the erroneous conclusion that this proves the divine inspiration of the Bible. It doesn't, because other people have written poetry and things that have chiasms in them. What it does prove is single authorship of whatever particular passage is in the Bible or whatever particular book the whole chiasm is spanned. And how do we know that? The book of Daniel, the chiasm that spans the book of Daniel, wasn't found until just recently. That means it's been there for all these thousands of years, and then somebody finds it. And that shows us that a single author wrote this. Well, the one that I'm passing around here that covers the entire flood account is in there, and it proves that the entire flood account has a single source. And that's important if you get into critical scholarship, because critical scholars will say, well, a priest wrote this particular line, and a Jehovist wrote this particular line. And I know this probably doesn't mean anything to you, but people, naysayers of the Bible is what I'm trying to get at, will say that this is not a unified whole, when a chiasm proves that it is a unified whole. And then when you look at the Bible, the chiasm that goes over the entire Bible, what does that prove? It proves that there was a single mind behind the entire chiasm. And the reason why is because these books, the people that wrote them didn't know they were going to be inserted into the Bible, and they certainly didn't know what order they would be inserted into the Bible. And yet it makes this beautiful pattern. And so that proves divine authorship implicitly, not explicitly, but it proves explicitly single authorship. So keep that in mind. It's a very wonderful thing to me to study these chiasms, because not only do they tell us that, but they also, as I said, they reveal the mind of God, what He is trying to tell us in a particular passage.